Well, Ryan, are you ready to do this one?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Ed Piskor.
So right off the bat, uh, our deepest condolences go out to Ed Piskor's family and friends. Uh, I don't know how much we're going to get into this, but for those that don't know, Ed Piskor, cartoonist behind Hip Hop Family Tree, X-Men Grand Design, and co-host of Cartoonist Kayfabe, passed away this past Monday. Um, and just just to put this out there, this episode we will be discussing some possible disturbing subject matter for some people, and that's suicide, um, uh, possible sexual misconduct. Uh, we might discuss some of that. So we just want to put that up at the top for
Yeah.
people. Um, but this week has completely gutted me. I It's hard to even form the words of what's happened the past week and a half in the comics community. And we didn't know Ed. We weren't friends. Uh we met a couple times. I met him at Heroes Convention. Uh had him sign one of his Red Room books. I gave him a bunch of my comics. He
Mhm.
said very nice things about them. And that was one of the highlights for me of that show, was
Right.
getting to meet him and interact with him and hearing him say that. And I've seen a lot of people online talking about how hard this has hit them, for someone that they didn't know personally.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with uh, he was a part of a lot of our lives on an almost daily basis with cartoonist kayfabe.
Yep.
And I started watching that show. Um, I don't even know if it was a year into when they started. They were still mainly doing Wizards coverage. They were only doing like an episode a week at that time. And I was immediately hooked, uh because me and Ed are only a couple years apart. And so a lot of the stuff that he would mention nostalgia wise, it hit me perfect. I had all of those wizards. Uh, I had some of those comics journals that they went through. A lot of the comics that they went through, I went through, or I had when I was a kid. And so to lose him, especially the way it happened,
Mhm.
um, I I think that's why so many of us are grieving, having not known him on a personal level, because that channel was a part of our lives.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few weeks. I went through several job changes with that channel.
Mhm.
I went, through other moments of my life, just ups, downs, sideways. That channel was there. I could rely on a Sunday, having a day off and chilling out on my recliner and watching whatever their latest interview was going to be.
Yeah.
And now that's gone. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, Levi, you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Much the same. I mean, I found that channel, I think, I want to say the end of 2020 or 2021. And I had made the decision. I don't think I had made the decision to pivot back to comics yet. I was still messing around with video games, doing that kind of work on, as the whatever. But a big part, and I was going to school, and so part of the program, we had to do narrative building and senior project. I basically did character designs and turnarounds and built a narrative. It's a lot like comic book work. And so watching those videos, it was the Wizard magazines that pulled me in to Cartoonist Kayfabe. And and so the more of those that I watched, yeah, the nostalgia was there, but also here were two people hitting all the right notes and sharing their observations about what was on the pages the same way I would have approached them, but also bringing up things that I didn't notice at the time, you know. And so it develops, an excitement. These people, I feel like I'm on the same page, and luckily they had a good backlog. I was able to work through a lot of those things. And honestly, I didn't know about their work as cartoonists at this time. It was through that channel that made me understand what they did and 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 seek out their work that and it turns out, wow, okay, I like the work of these two people that you know I like their show. Oh my gosh, I like their work too. And not just that, but they were also very interactive online, right? So as you mentioned, we're watching every day a new video and we get more insight, to the greater topic of comics, but also to um um just kind of how they function, right? At least what they shared with us in front of the camera. Now they also shared the uncut stuff, to the Patreon, and that's a little bit more revealing, I guess, maybe in some places or whatever. Um, it's as much as you can get just by watching somebody's show. Um, Looking at their art, looking at the stories they create. And then all of a sudden they're commenting back on Instagram when you comment something and, watching live draws and, hey, what's up? I see you there. I saw you on Instagram the other day. And then getting to meet, Ed and Jim at Heroes Con and talk comics and be like, because I fanboy out, that's just in my nature. I met Lance Mountain 10 years ago and I was just, an idiot and had my kids with me, introduced one of them, didn't even say my name, you know, and he was super nice. He was just super great. So I'm trying to keep my composure because these are people I respect. I respect their work and after going through that process I was going through and doing things that brought me back to visual storytelling, I made that call. I need to go back to comics. And I don't know if I would have put that together as easily if I didn't have that daily feed to inspire me. Because it's hard to find shows about comics that I like. It's hard to find, and there are good ones out there, but they're, they're about current events, they're about news, they're, which is cool, but I don't really care to know about a lot of the comic book current events. I mean, inside baseball stuff, I don't. But Ed and Jim brought something to their show that let you know a deeper dive from a creator perspective and a fan perspective. So that
Yeah.
was part that, since what is it, 3, 4 years for me, that's been part of my daily diet. Inspired me to get back into comics, inspired me to make the big a reality, and it inspired this channel. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the way they say, "Hey, here's the comics we make. Now let's talk comics and hang out." That's the outlet that I wanted, and to have you along to talk comics with, and maybe from a little bit of a different perspective, you know, um, doing our thing. But yeah, I mean, it's it'd be silly to assume that, this is not inspired by, what they created. So it hits really hard. It hits really hard, you know, like we lost Jeff Grosso, the professional skateboarder, did the love letters to skateboarding on the Vans channel. We lost him tragically a few years ago under much different circumstances. And I never got to meet Jeff Grosso, but for all the same reasons of seeing him talk about skateboarding and skateboard adjacent topics with the way he did, that hurt when I got the news. So, it's these people, affect lives in that sense. Um, so, um,
Yeah. You know, do you got something else? I don't want to cut you off.
no, I mean, it's just it's shock, but then when you pile on like circumstance,
Yeah.
it just puts an extra twist in your gut.
Well, and I think, we talked a little bit about on our convention episode. I don't remember which one, but how, we're all doing the same thing.
Mhm.
We just might be at different levels in our career. But you could talk to someone like Jim or Ed, uh, or I can talk to you, or I can talk to our friend Jeff Williams or
Mhm.
Henry or Herc, and we're all doing the same thing. We're telling stories. We have a love for the craft, you know. And what's been so hard, just one of the things that's been so hard about this week is seeing this small community, this small community that, we talk about all the time as being on the precipice of annihilation. Like
Yeah.
we're always talking about the comic book industry just going away. We're always talking about this, and to get to this week where the this community, that no matter what side you were on when it came to this, is destroying itself.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, that's
and
the wake of this.
and if anyone has read Ed Piskor's suicide note that he left Monday, uh Levi sent it to me Monday before we got news. um there were a bunch of people sharing it. in attempts to get a hold of him. Um, it's heartbreaking, it's chilling, and to see the community and the medium brought to this point, uh, to the death of a person,
Yeah.
whether you take responsibility for that or not, that was Ed's choice. Um, for it to get to that point is sickening.
Yeah. 100. It
And and you know, Rob Liefeld, Levi sent this to me too, and Rob put out a video Monday saying that, this needs to stop. This
Mhm.
discourse online needs to stop. Uh, I've seen people get the message. Uh, Ed mentioned people in his suicide note that were coming after him.
Mhm.
I've seen some of those people, I won't name them, but I've seen some of those people make statements and doing their best to apologize and try to do what they can to make it right. And then I've seen those people get attacked in the same way that Ed was being attacked last week.
Yeah.
Uh, I've seen people going after the girl who released the screenshots from last week that started this whole thing.
Mhm.
That doesn't, none of that solves anything. We can't, we can't right a wrong with Ed by doing the same thing to other people. And
Yeah.
we don't know the whole story. We don't know. We know we've heard her side, we've heard Ed's side, and that's where it's going to stop. Probably that's where it stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nothing in this world is black and white. Nothing. And uh, I've I think what's so sad. I mean, it's just it's the whole thing is a tragedy. We've all That's what keeps being said. It's tragedy. It's tragedy. It is. It's tragedy.
Mhm.
Uh, but this mob mentality that just continues to happen in this society, I just, it's got to fucking stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just got to stop. I don't, and and this isn't me taking a side. This isn't me, uh, trying to prove a point. Uh,
Or make apologies for certain behavior, or,
no,
I mean,
but nobody is the fucking police of the internet.
yeah.
Like you're not, you, you just, and I get it. I get it. We're we're into over 20 years of nonstop exposure on the internet,
Mhm.
of social media. Everyone has to make a statement about everything.
Right.
Everyone has to make a statement. Something happens. Here's how I feel about this. Something else happens. This is how I feel about this. Just so you know, this is where I'm at. And if you don't agree with me, then I'm going to block you. And I get it. I do. And trust me, I understand there are times where uh maybe that's the healthy choice to
Mhm.
not discuss. But also, do we really have to put that out in the first place? Uh, don't we learn that if you've got nothing nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all?
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah,
I it and none of this is going to get answered. I do think there are people that have been greatly affected by this who who are going to give pause uh the next time something like this happens. Um, I hope so.
yeah,
You know, um, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. But I I stay out of this shit. I stay out of
right.
when there's controversy and stuff. I try to stay out of it. Just the minimal amount of internet arguments that I've had, I I've never walked away saying, well, I won that, or they won that, or
Yeah,
I lost that.
feeling like,
It's it's never enjoyable.
yeah,
Um, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think it's never about, it's always about showing here's what I believe.
right, right,
I want to wear this on my sleeve. Here's what I believe, you know. And the internet is not, it's not real life. It's not nobody saying this shit would say that to anybody's face in real life. You'd be a crazy person, you know?
yeah. It, it- you know, words matter,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you're entitled to speak your truth, and you're entitled, if you've got something to say it. But words matter, you know, and we've got to a point where, like, if anything is said about anyone before we can even stop to get any kind of detail, everyone makes up their mind, and like you just said, they express it. They throw it out there. They pick a side, and run with it. I mean, there were videos the day the text thread was shared. People who, I mean, they didn't have any skin in the game. They're nobodies in the world, but they jumped on that quick, made their video rants, and put them up on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a form of currency for a lot of people. I'm not talking about the person that said, "Hey, I had this experience with this."
Yeah.
I'm talking about the peripheral people. But the person who had the experience, words matter.
Yeah.
It matters how you speak your truth. And I'm not, saying censor yourself or try not, speak your truth, but do it the best way possible.
Yeah.
And if there's something that needs to be done about whatever happened, then do it. Take your truth to whoever needs to see it to get things rolling, to get, adjudication or investigate. If that's the case, then take it.
Yeah.
Make something happen. You know, it's it's and then and then us, the rest of us, when something comes out, and it can be the most extreme case, or it can be sort of tepid, like, yeah, I wouldn't act like that. I mean, there's space in between those two things, right? There's space in between, man, that's pretty fucked up and inappropriate, and violent sexual crime.
Yeah.
There's space in between those two things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to minimize one or the other. So,
Yeah.
and you throw that meat out there, and the dogs come for it.
Yeah.
And not everyone can handle things the right. And then the rest of us, what happens immediately? We step
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
We step back
Yeah.
and we leave someone covered in red meat and the dogs swarm while we're all standing back going,
I
I'm going to see how this plays out because
yeah.
I don't want people coming at me,
Yeah.
and now a man's dead.
And we did that, you know. Like I said, I didn't touch anything when it came out, when everyone was
Mhm.
piling on. I didn't defend him. And here's the thing, he's not a person for me to defend.
No, yeah.
I liked what Ed did as a YouTuber, as a cartoonist. I enjoyed it. We didn't always agree.
Yeah.
Uh, me and Levi had some discussions. He said some stuff about digital artwork, and I was like, what the fuck? I bust my ass
Yeah.
on comics.
Yeah, I mean we talked I don't think we haven't necessarily on
Yeah,
video so much, but we've talked
but
about it. I mean, and that's you
but
get
you
to
know
do that as
what?
a person. You get
You
to
know what?
disagree.
He exactly.
And we
And I
just
didn't
don't.
I didn't I didn't stop watching it. But this mob mentality, like you said, once it starts piling on, the people that really feel his friends that felt like they needed to defend him didn't feel like they could, because then they were going to get piled on too. Because
Yeah.
we're not just talking about uh internet fame. We're just not talking about people not following you. We're talking about careers. We're talking about a person's way of life being taken away. And that was going to happen to the people that were defending him. It was happening.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say I saw people defending him that were not doing it in a good way at all. They were going against the girls and stuff like that. That's not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. It's wrong. But then to get to where it led with his death. And I know I've seen the posts from his friends going, my biggest regret is I didn't stand by him, you know. And they yeah, you know. And the thing is, I get it. Like, don't go after those people either. You're not in their shoes. You don't know what they were going through, you know. People have been attacking Jim. Don't attack.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
no fucking clue what Jim was going through. You have no idea. Jim made the decision he felt he had to make. And we that's all I'm gonna say. That's obviously what he felt he had to do, was cut professional ties with him. You know, you're talk it's everything. And I think that's an important thing to talk about though. uh Caitlin McGurk from the Billy Ireland Museum, she posted a really good uh remembrance of Ed a few days ago. I would encourage people to look that up, and I would encourage people to look up Carol Tyler's remembrance. Um, but Caitlin talked about, comics being Ed's only real identity. You know, uh, people that watched his show, people that knew him, um, he bled comics. He lived for nothing else but comics.
Mm,
Um, and so what happens when that's taken away,
yeah.
you know? And you know, that's that's been a big uh uh that's been overwhelming a lot of my thinking this week. Uh because and I think that's why I identified so much with their channel, is because since I was 11, 12 years old, that's been my identity, you know.
Right.
I left it for a little bit to focus more on music, uh but then came right back, you know. Um I tried to trick myself. A year or so ago, I took a job that I knew would be all encompassing, and I told my friends, I said, I'm done with comics. I can't, there's no point in it. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm going to devote myself to this job, and that's what it's going to be. And after 6 months of that, I was beyond depressed. Uh, my anxiety, my depression was full steam.
Mm.
Uh, and I left that job, and I fell back into my art. And this past year, my life has been 100% devoted to creation. Um, I'm closing in on 100 pages so far, and I'm proud of that. Um, but you know, this has given me pause
Yeah.
to say, is that healthy? You know,
Yeah.
um, I'm not saying I'm quitting, um, but I took this week off.
Yep.
I just couldn't.
Yep.
And
I haven't drawn since. And I was talking to Jeff Williams, and he got back from vacation earlier well, I mean last Sunday, and he was going to jump into it Monday and get working on his strip, and he also is having
yeah,
trouble getting going again. I mean, it's you know,
yeah,
it's the reach that you have, you know, and without realizing it, and the
right.
effect you have on people.
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean for people on YouTube with the comic, with successful comics, it's everyone. And like Rob Liefeld said in his message, we just got to do better.
yeah,
We've got to do better. Um, and take it in any way that you think, but if there's something that needs to be resolved, then take those avenues to resolve it. If there's something you think you need to let the world know, be measured and deliberate.
yeah. And if you find yourself in a dark place, uh, please, please reach out to somebody. Um, Reach out to a friend, reach out to your family, call a call a hotline. Um, it's it's not worth it, you know.
No,
And
and
for I'm sorry, Levi. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah, go ahead.
I just, like I said, I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with anxiety. I've never been to that point. Uh, but I knew the feeling. I'll just say that. I
Yeah.
know the feeling.
Yeah, I know what the
And
door looks like.
yeah.
Know what that door looks like
And
when that door is open.
and there is a point in your mental health when you get to a point like that where you think this is the only option, you know, and it's not the only option, you know. Um, I wish I wish like hell he hadn't have done that. I really think Ed could have come back from this.
Hmm.
I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, his career might have looked different. It might have looked different, you know.
Like I say,
Um,
there's space between inappropriate and and inexcusable violent sex crime.
yeah,
There's also space for, hey man, you fucked up. That really
yeah,
pissed me off.
yeah,
And you probably need some help. How do I
yeah,
help you with that?
right.
Because even though you fucked up, I do care about you. Things may be
Yeah,
different for a while, they may be just different forever, but you always share that and you know, so that's the we need to do better part.
yeah. And I think, um, that's the thing. I feel like maybe people don't realize, how close this hits sometimes in their personal lives where they know someone who's gone through something similar or whatever. And, maybe they reacted different when it was in their personal life and it wasn't on a stage,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And, um, you know, yeah, that's all I got, Levi.
Yeah.
This has been, uh, again, our condolences to Ed's family, to his friends, to Jim Rugg. Um,
Yeah.
I've been gutted this week. Uh, so uh, hopefully, listening to us stammer on for a little bit helped. Maybe not. I'll be honest. I haven't watched any of the tribute videos I've seen.
Yeah.
I can't watch it. So if you don't watch this one, I get it because I can't watch that shit. They just started releasing new episodes. Jim started
Yeah.
releasing new episodes per Ed's wishes, and I can't watch them. I started tearing up when I saw it. I just
Yeah.
can't. So, but yeah,
Yeah, man.
everybody, let's be kind to each other,
Yeah.
please.
Take care of each other. I mean, even in holding people to account, there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Levi.
All right, bye.
I'll talk to you later.
You know it.